Listen closely, because the world has always spoken in whispers of fear, in shadows cast long and cold. You have walked through halls where doubt lingered, where eyes watched you with suspicion, where words were sharpened to pierce, and yet here you are, breathing, not trembling, not pleading, not flinching, breathing, calm. There is a quiet power in that, a storm contained behind the stillness of your gaze, and it terrifies them more than any scream ever could. They tried to scare you, to bend your spine, to make your courage bow. But every attempt fell into the void, every shadow dissipated, and now they are frozen. Not you. You are unbroken. You are the silence that roars louder than their noise. Think of the moments when their fear was projected upon you, the doubt in their eyes, the hesitation in their movements, the way they thought you could be intimidated. Every shiver they tried to send your way ricocheted, hitting them back, shattering their intentions. And this is the truth that most never understand. Fear cannot inhabit a mind that has learned stillness. When you do not react in the ways they expect, when you do not collapse or retreat, when you do not chase approval or validation, you step into a realm where their control no longer exists. You become untouchable, not because you wield a weapon, not because you roar, but because your calm is a mirror reflecting the fragility of their own hearts. You may not have noticed it at first. Perhaps it was subtle, a pause in conversation, a hesitant glance, a step backward when you moved forward. The world assumes strength is loud. It assumes courage is flashy. It assumes that resilience must wear armor and brandish fire. But real power, true authority, has a different rhythm. It moves quietly, deliberately, intentionally. It waits, observes, and acts only when the moment cannot resist it. When you inhabit this space, you are not merely resisting fear, you are cultivating it in others, quietly, unyieldingly. Your calm is not emptiness. It is a fortress, a field of ice where every attempt to pierce it melts and runs off like water on stone. Every attempt to rattle you is a reflection of their own inadequacy. When they shout, when they glare, when they brandish threats, it is never about you. It is always about them. Their fear takes shape in your presence because they see a truth they cannot face. They see a mind unshaken, a soul unbroken, and it reminds them of every compromise, every hesitation, every moment they cowered. And in that reflection, they freeze. They falter. They betray the very energy they hope to impose. You are the still point in their storm, the shadow in which their panic becomes visible. Do not mistake this calm for passivity. This is the art of containment, the mastery of the inner self. To be unmoved by the chaos around you is not weakness, it is choice. To stand without yielding when the world screams at you and the tides of expectation crash against your feet is not defiance, it is sovereignty. And sovereignty terrifies those who have never known it. You are not playing a game they can predict. You are rewriting the rules in silence. You are bending the space between action and reaction until it yields only to your will. They will try to bait you, to provoke you, to push you into stormy waters. But you will remain, as always, still and unshakable. Because you understand that the storm outside is only effective if there is turmoil inside. Every encounter you have had with intimidation is a story of victory. Perhaps it was subtle, a coworker trying to undermine you, a friend testing your patience, a stranger attempting to unsettle you. In every instance, you did not give them the satisfaction of witnessing your fracture. You did not allow their chaos to infiltrate your mind. You observed, you measured, and you continued. That observation is a form of dominion. It is the quiet acknowledgement that fear is a tool, not a master, and that it is wielded only by those who have surrendered their own strength, and they surrendered long before you even acknowledged their attempt. Do you feel it? That weight of awareness, that consciousness that they are watching, hoping, trying, failing. Lean into it. Let it be fuel. Your calm is not neutral. It is active. It is potent. It moves mountains in silence. It teaches without words. It conquers without strikes. And those who sought to scare you, who wish to see the spark of doubt, are caught in the reflection of their own weakness. Their gaze meets yours, searching, uncertain, and in that split second, they are powerless. You do not even need to move. You do not even need to speak. Your mere presence, the quiet mastery of your own mind and body, becomes an assertion more terrifying than any shout, more formidable than any weapon. They will never understand this power because it is not theirs to wield. They cannot mimic it, cannot fake it, cannot borrow it. Every time they try, they expose themselves. And you, who have walked through this storm after storm, have learned the simplest truth. Fear obeys only the one who refuses to bow to it. You do not chase. You do not flee. You do not plead for peace. You are the eye of the hurricane, the calm in the chaos, the one who watches as the world trembles while you remain untouched. Consider the moments you have faced uncertainty. Life has thrown shadows in your path, tried to obscure the way forward, attempted to weigh your mind with dread and hesitation. Yet here you are. You have not scattered. You have not dissolved. You have not allowed the darkness to consume you. That alone is an act of rebellion against every force that attempted to undermine your sovereignty. And in that rebellion, you discover the ultimate paradox. The more they try to scare you, the more visible their fear becomes, and the stronger you grow. Strength does not always roar. Sometimes it whispers, sometimes it waits, sometimes it simply is, and that is enough. Your calm is contagious, though few recognize it. They see the surface, unshaken, and mistake it for ease. They see the steady hands, the even gaze, the composed breath, and they assume emptiness. But within that calm is mastery. Within that stillness is a storm held in balance, a clarity that cuts through confusion, a resolve unassailable. This is why they freeze. They encounter a mind that does not react as expected, a presence that cannot be coerced or threatened, and their own instincts betray them. Your serenity is a weapon. It is not wielded with intent to harm, but with intent to exist fully in a world desperate to bend you. And in this existence, they are lost, disoriented, vulnerable. Do not fear their freezing. Let it serve as a reflection, a mirror to your own progress. When the world hesitates before you, when the voices pause, when the threats falter, you are witnessing the ultimate truth. Calm conquers chaos, and mastery of self is the highest form of power. They will leave, they will retreat, they will attempt again in some other form, but the lesson remains eternal. The one who does not bend cannot be broken. The one who does not fear cannot be subdued. The one who is steady, unwavering, resolute, is untouchable. Every day, as you rise and face the world, remember this. They tried to scare you, but they ended up frozen. They tried to bend you, but you held firm. They tried to steal your composure, but it was never theirs to take. This calm, this mastery, this serene force within you is not a temporary gift. It is your nature, your inheritance, your birthright. Others may tremble, may panic, may retreat, but you will remain, as always, unshaken. Let that truth saturate every thought, every step, every decision. Let it remind you that your power lies not in the noise you make, but in the stillness you command. Do not waste energy explaining it to them. They will never understand. Do not waste energy justifying your presence. They will never accept it. Do not waste energy fearing their reactions. They are already afraid. Let your calm continue to move through you, like water flowing over rock, like wind passing through the trees, like fire contained yet undeniably hot. And in that containment, in that deliberate control, you become something unassailable. You are a fortress. You are the storm's eye. You are the silence that terrifies. And so, when the next shadow crosses your path, when the next voice attempts to unnerve you, when the next hand reaches to manipulate or provoke you, remember this: they tried to scare you, but they ended up frozen. Let your calm speak louder than any threat. Let your presence command what no words can. Let your stillness render their noise meaningless. Stand unbowed, breathe unshaken, move forward undeterred. They will freeze, they will falter, they will reveal the truth of their own limitations. And you, calm, unwavering, resolute, will remain, a testament to the ultimate reality. Serenity is the mightiest force, and mastery of self is the final victory. They will always try. That is the nature of the world. They will always test, always press, always attempt to fracture the calm you have built. But here is the truth they can never grasp. Testing only proves your strength. Their attempts are like stones thrown at the mountain. They bounce off, ricochet, and reveal nothing about you, but everything about them. The mountain does not apologize, does not flinch, does not bow. And so it is with you. Every challenge thrown your way is a mirror, reflecting their desperation, their unpreparedness, their inability to match your pace, your depth, your stillness. You are the measure they cannot reach, the standard they cannot challenge, and the power they cannot hold. Look closely at your own history. Every time fear knocked at your door, you did not invite it in. You did not let it linger. You faced it, recognized it, understood it, and then allowed it to pass through. Your awareness without leaving a mark. That is mastery. That is discipline. That is terrifying to those who depend on fear to dominate. They have built entire systems, entire patterns, entire narratives around the assumption that fear will always bend the strong. And then you appeared, calm, observing, calculating, and unmoved. Their plans unraveled before they even realized it. That is your signature. That is your legacy in motion. The world assumes power is loud, visible, immediate. They think the strongest must shout, must strike, must make themselves impossible to ignore. But you know the opposite. Power is patient. Power is invisible until it arrives. Power is the quiet knowledge that no one can dictate your state, that no one can impose panic where there is none, that no one can disrupt the equilibrium you have fought to maintain. This is the dark art of presence, the ability to exist without apology, to hold space that cannot be invaded, to carry an energy so potent that it freezes those who attempt intrusion. And in this energy, you are untouchable. Do not confuse patience with hesitation. Do not confuse stillness with inaction. There is a deliberate precision in your calm, an edge hidden within your restraint, a force contained yet undeniable. You watch, you analyze, you move only when it is most impactful, and when you do, the world feels it. They will never admit it. They may never acknowledge it, but every subtle shift you make resonates more than any outburst could. In the silence of your resolve, they feel the weight of their own vulnerability. In the steadiness of your gaze, they glimpse the unshakable certainty of a mind unwilling to yield. This is the dark truth of presence. It terrifies because it cannot be controlled. Remember that fear exists only in the minds that allow it entry. Every word meant to unsettle you, every glance meant to intimidate you, every force meant to coerce you, is powerless unless you accept its authority. And you never have. You have not bowed, you have not begged, you have not shattered. Instead, you have cultivated a serenity so deep, so unassailable, that it becomes a shield not only against their actions, but against their perception. They cannot harm what does not exist within the realm they control. They cannot scare what refuses to acknowledge their influence. Your calm is the fortress they cannot breach, and they know it, even if they will never articulate it. Look around you, in every arena, in every room, in every encounter. Notice who freezes, who falters, who hesitates. That is the reflection of your power. It is subtle, yes, often invisible to those who cling to noise, aggression, and spectacle, but it is undeniable. Every pause, every misstep, every faltering breath is a testament to the influence of calm, to the potency of mastery over oneself. You have created a force that is felt even when unseen, and that is the rarest, most terrifying form of authority. They may try to imitate it, but imitation is hollow. Imitation reveals only the absence of substance. You, substance. You are the quiet storm. You are the calm that terrifies. Every moment of your life, every challenge, every test, every shadow of fear you have faced has been preparing you for this. Not for applause, not for recognition, not for accolades, but for the realization that mastery is its own reward, that calm is its own triumph, that the silence within you is louder than any chaos outside. They will never understand it, and that is the beauty of it. Their confusion, their hesitation, their panic, all of it is proof of the power you carry effortlessly. They will speak of courage, they will speak of bravery, they will speak of boldness, but none of it will capture the magnitude of your quiet dominance, the depth of your unshakable presence, the force of calm that commands without motion, controls without conflict, and terrifies without cruelty. And know this: every attempt to destabilize you, every push, every threat, every manipulation is only making them weaker. Their energy is finite, their focus is limited, their control is fragile. They expend it on trying to move you, while you, still, composed, deliberate, continue forward. You do not tire from their efforts because you have never been moved by them. Every step you take, every decision you make, every boundary you hold reinforces the fortress within. You do not need to strike. You do not need to speak. You do not need to prove anything. The mere fact of your presence is a lesson they cannot ignore, a statement they cannot challenge, a power they cannot match. So continue. Walk into rooms where the shadows loom. Enter situations where others would cower. Face the voices that scream for your fear. Stand tall. Breathe deeply. Allow them to flinch before you. Allow them to falter in the presence of your mastery. Allow them to confront the immovable truth of your calm. Every encounter is a stage, every interaction a testament, every observation a reminder that they cannot frighten what has learned to be unshakable. And in this repetition, in this daily demonstration, you become more than human. You become a force of nature, a living proof of the principle that the mind, when trained, when disciplined, when surrendered only to itself, is the ultimate power in existence. The world will continue to throw shadows at you, challenges at you, threats at you. Let them. Each one is a test you have already passed. Each one is an opportunity to deepen your calm, to strengthen your resolve, to refine the silent, potent force you carry. They will never anticipate your next movement, your next thought, your next breath. They will attempt, always, to rattle you, to bend you, to scare you. But you have learned a truth few ever grasp. The storm outside cannot affect the storm within. Your inner stillness is sovereign. Your calm is untouchable. Your presence is immortal in its power. And that is why they freeze. So when you move forward, when you act, when you decide, do so with the certainty of one who knows that no force can shake them, no word can pierce them, no shadow can darken them. Walk with intention, speak with clarity, breathe with authority. Let your calm radiate from every fiber of your being. And when they meet you, let them see the truth of your mastery. They tried to scare you, but they ended up frozen. They attempted to bend you, but you remained unyielding. They sought to intimidate, but you are the immovable. They chased fear, but you embody serenity. Their panic is your testament. Their hesitation is your monument. Their frozen presence is your victory. Let this truth settle into your bones. Calm is not weakness. Calm is not surrender. Calm is not neutrality. Calm is mastery. Calm is authority. Calm is the quiet force that shifts the balance of power in every room, every conversation, every interaction. Let it guide you. Let it protect you. Let it define you. And when they attempt again, as they inevitably will, remember this: they are already frozen. You do not need to act. You do not need to shout. You do not need to prove. You exist, and in that existence, you are unstoppable. You move, and they cannot follow. You breathe, and they falter. You watch, and they reveal themselves. Every glance they cast, every attempt to unsettle you, every word meant to scare you, crumbles under the weight of your calm. They tried, and they failed. They will try again, and they will fail again. And through it all, you remain, always, unbroken, unshaken, untouchable. And now, understand this: the true power is not in what they do, it is in how you remain. You have walked through fire, through shadows that whisper, through walls that seemed unmovable, and yet you are here, calm, deliberate, untouchable. They will never understand the patience it took, the discipline, the countless moments when your body and mind scream for reaction, for chaos, for release, and you remain still. That stillness is your victory. That calm is your dominion. It is more potent than any sword, louder than any roar, and sharper than any blade. They cannot compete with it. They cannot confront it. They cannot destroy it, because it is not external. It lives in you. It moves with you. It is you. They will always try to break the rhythm of your being. They will push. They will poke. They will manipulate. But they are approaching a fortress built from years of understanding, from countless trials that would have broken lesser souls. Every attempt to frighten you, every effort to destabilize you, is an exposure of their weakness, a map to their own insecurity, a revelation that they can never match what you embody effortlessly. You are the quiet force that rewrites the rules of engagement simply by being. They cannot unlearn what you know. They cannot undo what you have mastered, and in that knowledge, you are limitless. Think about the eyes that have watched you, the faces that have faltered, the gestures that have betrayed their fear. They are not errors. They are your testament. They are proof that the world bends, not you. Every step forward you take, every breath you claim, every space you occupy without apology is a reminder that mastery is not loud. Mastery is silent. Mastery is unyielding. And it terrifies because it exposes the fragility of those who rely on fear to control, to manipulate, to dominate. You do not need their approval. You do not need their recognition. Their panic, their hesitation, their frozen gaze is reward enough. You have become a presence that cannot be provoked, a force that cannot be moved, a mind that cannot be bent. And this is the ultimate truth. Calm is the weapon they never anticipated, the strategy they cannot counter, the power they cannot understand. They have built castles of noise and aggression, yet your silence demolishes them effortlessly. Oh, they realized it, didn't they? The truth hit them like a freight train. When they least expected it one day, as they sat in the hollow echo of their own company, the realization crept in, a slow and suffocating whisper that grew louder and more intense with every passing moment. It wasn't sudden. It didn't come with the flash of a light bulb or the moment of sudden enlightenment that people talk about in movies. No, it was a quiet storm. It was the kind of realization that creeps in when they finally have the space to think and breathe and look around them and see what they've lost. And what did they lose? What did they lose in the end? It was you. It was your presence, your energy, your loyalty, your devotion. It was the thing they took for granted, the thing that seemed so permanent in their life, the thing they thought they could push away. And now it's gone. Now it's lost forever, and no amount of regrets will ever bring it back. Do you feel that sting? The one that cuts deeper than any physical wound ever could? That sting that comes with knowing that no apology, no desperate plea, no attempt at redemption will ever return things to the way they were? It's too late for that now. You've moved on. You've walked away. You've left them to dwell in the consequences of their actions. You've left them in the wreckage of their own decisions. And while they sit there, grappling with the weight of their realization, you've already made your exit. You've already moved past them. You've already closed the door. And do you know what that does to someone? It does something worse than rejection. It's not just that you've walked away. It's that you're no longer there for them to reach out to. It's the understanding that you've become a distant memory, a faded echo, and no amount of regret will ever rewrite the past. They thought they had time. They thought they could make you wait, make you linger, make you stay as they played their games, as they made their choices. They thought you were always going to be there, always going to stand by them, always going to pick up the pieces of their broken self when they felt like it. They thought they could take you for granted and that there would always be another chance, another opportunity to make things right. But here's the truth that burns in their chest now. They were wrong, so wrong. And now there's nothing they can do to fix it. They didn't realize what they had until it was gone, and by then, it was too late. There's something powerful about realizing that you are no longer a part of someone's life. It's not the sadness that people expect you to feel. It's something more primal, more intense. It's a quiet sense of victory, a realization that you've taken back your power, that you've stopped begging, stopped pleading, stopped giving. It's the understanding that while they were too busy taking, you were too busy growing, too busy finding your own path, too busy discovering the strength that comes from walking alone. And now they're left to reap what they've sown. They're left to face the consequences of their actions without you to soften the blow, without you to smooth over the jagged edges of their mistakes. They've lost the most valuable thing they ever had, You. And the harshest part of it is that they only realize it now, when it's too late. You've already moved on. You've already built something new, something better, something that doesn't include them. You found your peace in their absence. You found your strength in the silence they left behind. And when they reach out, when they send those desperate messages, when they try to apologize, to make amends, to claw their way back into your life, the truth is clear. You're no longer interested. You're no longer invested. You're no longer willing to be the person who bends, who sacrifices, who puts in the effort when they were the ones who took it all for granted. What they fail to realize is that it's not just about the time that's passed. It's not just about the space between you and them. It's not just about the fact that you've moved on. It's that the damage has been done. There's no coming back from the betrayal, no coming back from the hurt, no coming back from the endless disappointment. You gave them everything and they turned it into nothing. You offered them your love, your loyalty, your trust, and they played with it like it was a toy, breaking it into pieces without a second thought. And now they want it back. They want it back, but the problem is that what they broke can't be fixed. What they destroyed can never be rebuilt. You're no longer the person you were when they first walked into your life. You're stronger now. You're wiser now. You've learned to value yourself in ways they never even saw. You've learned that you are worth more than their empty words, their half-hearted gestures, their lies. And when you stand there, looking at them from a distance, watching their desperation and regret, it's almost laughable, isn't it? It's almost laughable how little they understand the depth of what they've lost. They thought they had time to fix things. They thought they could wait until they were ready to appreciate you. But now, they see you standing there, unshaken, unmoved, and they know. They know the truth that burns in their soul. You're not coming back. You're not going to wait around for them to get their act together. You're not going to be their safety net, their fallback, their second choice. You are worth more than that. You were always worth more than that. And now, the weight of that realization is crushing them. You've reached a point where their presence no longer affects you. You've reached a point where their words no longer sting. You've reached a point where their apologies are nothing more than hollow sounds, empty gestures that mean nothing to you. You've walked through the fire and you've emerged unscathed. You've learned to be strong on your own. And as they sit there, clinging to their regrets, clinging to their hope that they can somehow find their way back to you, you are already light years ahead of them. You are already past them. You have already moved on to better things. And that's where the true power lies, in knowing that you no longer need them. They've learned their lesson too late, haven't they? They've learned what it costs to lose someone like you, but by the time the lesson hits, it's already over. They've already lost. And now, they will sit in the silence of their own regret, looking around them and realizing that the one person they thought they could afford to lose is the one person they will never be able to get back. And you will keep moving forward because you know better now. You know that no one gets to have access to your heart unless they've earned it. And you know that once someone burns a bridge, once someone takes you for granted, they will never have the privilege of walking back across it. So let them realize their mistake. Let them sit in the regret. Let them stew in the consequences of their own actions. You have already won. You have already moved on. And they're just left with the haunting realization that they've lost something they will never find again. The realization settles deep within them, like a weight they can't lift, an ache they can't soothe. They can try to fill the void with distractions. They can seek the comfort of new faces, new places, new things, but none of it will ever compare to the person they lost. Nothing will ever be able to replace what they had with you. They might convince themselves that it's just another chapter in life, that they'll move on and find something better, but deep down, they know the truth. They know that what they've lost was unique, irreplaceable, and that their own decisions tore it all apart. There is no turning back the clock. There is no undoing what has been done. And that's the hardest part to face, isn't it? The knowledge that you, the person who once meant so much to them, are now a part of their past. You're not there anymore. You're not in their life. You're not standing by their side anymore, offering them your support, your loyalty, your love. You're no longer available to comfort them, to listen to their problems, to ease their burdens. And it's in that absence that the truth really begins to sting. They might try to distract themselves with the noise of the world around them, but the silence of your absence is deafening. The emptiness is crushing. And here's the thing. They can try to replace you with someone else. They can try to seek out another person who might offer them some semblance of what you once gave them. But they will always fall short. The truth is, there will never be anyone who will love them the way you did, who will understand them the way you did, who will give them the kind of selfless devotion you gave. No matter how hard they search, no matter how many new faces they meet, they will never find someone who can fill the hole you've left behind. People might come and go, but no one will ever truly compare, and they know it. Deep in their bones, they know it. As the days pass, they might try to convince themselves that it doesn't matter. They might tell themselves that they're better off, that they don't need you, that they'll be fine without you. But it's all a lie. They'll tell these lies to themselves because facing the truth is too painful. Facing the truth would mean admitting that they lost someone who was irreplaceable, someone who loved them in a way that no one else could. But deep down, behind all the lies, they know the truth. They know that the space you left in their life is a void that can never be filled, a silence that will never be drowned out by any amount of noise or activity. You're gone, and they are left with nothing but their own regrets and their own self-inflicted loneliness. And it's in those moments of loneliness that the reality of their mistake hits the hardest. It's in those quiet, painful moments when they realize that no matter how many people come into their life, no one will ever be able to fill the gap you left behind. They can try, but they will always fall short. They will never have the same kind of connection that they had with you. They will never feel the same kind of love, the same kind of trust, the same kind of bond. What they had with you was a once-in-a-lifetime kind of thing, something that can't be replicated no matter how hard they try. And as the weeks turn into months, and the months turn into years, the weight of their loss will only grow heavier. They will begin to realize that the life they once had with you was something extraordinary, something rare, something special. They will look back on those memories with a sense of longing and regret, wishing they could turn back time, wishing they could make different choices, wishing they could go back to the days when things were simpler and when you were still by their side. But by then, it will be too late. The damage has been done, and there's no way to fix it. They will have to live with the consequences of their actions for the rest of their life, and every time they look back, every time they think of you, they will feel that sting, that deep, gnawing ache in their chest, knowing that they lost something they will never find again. And it's not just the emotional toll. It's the realization that you've moved on. It's the knowledge that you're out there living your life, thriving without them, succeeding without them, growing without them. You're doing just fine, and you're not looking back. They can see it from a distance. They can hear it from the people around them, and they can feel it in their bones. You're stronger now. You're better now. You found peace. You found your own path. You found happiness, and it doesn't involve them. And that is the hardest pill to swallow. That's the the reality that they can't escape. They can't undo the past. They can't turn back time and make things right. You've already moved on, and no matter how much they wish it were different, no matter how much they regret their decisions, you are no longer a part of their life. They've spent so much time thinking they could live without you, so much time thinking they could find happiness without you. But now they realize the truth. They never truly understood what they had until it was gone. And now that it's gone, they're left with nothing but the haunting realization that they lost the one person who would have always been there for them. They lost the person who gave them everything, the person who loved them without condition, the person who was always ready to stand by them no matter what. And now that person is gone, and they will never get them back. And what do they do with that realization? How do they cope with the crushing weight of their own mistake? They can try to distract themselves with the busyness of life. They can fill their days with work, with friends, with anything to avoid confronting the truth. But the truth is always there, lurking in the background, gnawing at them, reminding them of what they lost. It doesn't go away. It doesn't fade. It stays with them, a constant reminder of their own failure, a reminder of their own shortcomings. And every time they think they're doing okay, every time they think they've moved on, something happens to remind them of you. It could be a song on the radio, a place you both used to go, a simple word that sparks a memory, and in those moments, they are hit with the full force of what they've lost. They realize that no matter how hard they try to move forward, they can't escape the truth that they lost you, the truth that they let you slip through their fingers, the truth that they took you for granted, and now it's too late. You've gone on without them. You've moved forward. You've found your own peace, your own happiness, your own life. And while they're stuck in the past, stuck in their own regrets, stuck in their own self-pity, you're out there living. You're out there building something new, something better, something that doesn't include them. And that's where the real power lies. The real power lies in knowing that you've moved on, in knowing that you've learned to live without them, in knowing that you don't need them. And every time they realize that, every time they see how far you've come, it will only make their regret burn deeper. They will never find someone like you again. They will never find someone who loves them the way you did. They will never find someone who would have stood by them through thick and thin, who would have supported them, who would have believed in them. They will never find someone who gave them everything. And in the end, that's the hardest part to accept. They've lost you. And no matter how many apologies they give, no matter how many times they beg for forgiveness, it won't change a thing. The truth is clear now. They've lost something they will never find again. And that is their eternal burden to carry, and it will never let them go. There is a weight that follows them, a shadow that looms over them wherever they go. And no matter how far they run, no matter how many distractions they find, it will never truly fade. It's a burden they will carry to the end of their days. And the worst part of it is that they brought it upon themselves. They made the choices. They made the decisions that led to this moment. And now, they have to live with the consequences. There's no one else to blame. There's no one else to point fingers at. It's all on them. They let you slip away, and now, that empty space where you once were will never be filled. The burden doesn't just sit lightly on their shoulders. It presses down on them, suffocating them at every turn. It creeps into their thoughts at the most unexpected moments, reminding them of everything they could have had, everything they threw away. It gnaws at their conscience in the quiet of the night when there's nothing but their own thoughts to keep them company. It's always there, lurking in the background, a constant reminder of their failure. And no matter how hard they try to push it away, to ignore it, to pretend that it doesn't matter, they know the truth deep down. They lost something irreplaceable, and they can never get it back. There are days when they try to convince themselves that they've moved on, that they're okay without you, that life is better without you in it. They try to fill the gap you left with other people, with other things, with temporary distractions, but it never works. It never fills the void. And as time passes, they start to realize that no matter how many new faces they meet, no matter how many new relationships they try to build, they will always be left wanting. They will always be looking for something they will never find again. Because no one will ever love them the way you did. No one will ever understand them the way you did. No one will ever give them the kind of unconditional support and loyalty that you offered. And that realization is like a dagger to the heart, a reminder that they destroyed something they'll never be able to replace. The burden of regret is an insidious thing. It doesn't announce itself with loud cries or dramatic moments. No, it's much more subtle than that. It slips in during the quiet moments when they're alone with their thoughts, when the noise of the world fades away and all that's left is the echo of their own mistakes. It's the moments when they're sitting in a crowded room, surrounded by people yet feeling more alone than ever, because they realize that none of these people can replace the person they lost. It's the moments when they're lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering what went wrong, wondering where they went wrong, and wishing they could go back and do things differently. But it's too late for that. The damage has been done, and there's no going back. They might try to tell themselves that they're better off without you, that they didn't need you, that they were fine on their own. They might try to convince themselves that the love they had for you was somehow not worth it, that it wasn't meant to be. But deep down, they know the truth. They know that what they had with you was special. They know that the bond you shared was unlike anything they've ever had before. And they know that they will never find anything like it again. The love they shared with you was pure, it was genuine, and it was something rare. And now, it's gone. Gone because they let it slip through their fingers. Gone because they didn't realize what they had until it was too late. And no amount of convincing themselves otherwise will change the fact that they lost something extraordinary. They can try to bury the pain. They can try to hide it behind distractions and noise. They can fill their life with new relationships, new experiences, new things. But no matter how hard they try, the weight of what they've lost will always be there. It will always be a part of them. And with each passing day, the burden grows heavier. The realization that they can never go back, that they can never undo their mistakes, that they will never get you back, starts to take its toll. It eats away at them slowly, steadily, like a poison that seeps into their veins, leaving them feeling empty and hollow inside. They will go through phases of denial. There will be days when they tell themselves that maybe, just maybe, they can fix it. Maybe they can find a way to repair the damage they've done. Maybe they can win you back. But as the days stretch into weeks and the weeks into months, they start to realize the truth. They start to realize that no matter what they do, no matter how many times they apologize, no matter how many promises they make, you're not coming back. You've moved on. You've found your peace. You've found your happiness. And it doesn't include them. And that's when the reality sets in, and the burden becomes even heavier. They are left with nothing but the knowledge that they lost the one person who ever truly mattered. And that, my friend, is something they will never be able to escape. They may try to bury the pain in work, in hobbies, in new relationships. They may try to distract themselves with anything they can get their hands on, but they will always come back to the same thought, the same realization. They lost you, and they will never get you back. That truth will haunt them, day in and day out, for as long as they live. There will be no escaping it. There will be no moving past it. It will follow them like a shadow, a constant reminder of the choice they made, the mistake they can never undo. They might find some comfort in the idea that time heals all wounds, but that's just another lie they tell themselves. Time doesn't heal the wound of losing someone who was irreplaceable. Time doesn't erase the regret of pushing someone away who loved you with all their heart. Time doesn't make the pain go away. It just makes it harder to feel. It numbs the edges, but the pain is always there, lurking beneath the surface, ready to resurface at any moment. And when it does, it's like being hit with the realization all over again. The pain, the regret, the emptiness. It never really goes away. It just becomes a part of them. And the worst part is that they'll never be able to fix it. They can apologize 1,000 times. They can try to make things right, but the damage has been done. They will never be able to undo the harm they caused. They will never be able to erase the memories of the times they took you for granted, the times they hurt you, the times they pushed you away. And no matter how much they wish they could change the past, the truth is that it's over. You're gone, you've moved on, and they're left with nothing but the aftermath of their own actions. And as they go through life, they'll always feel that empty space where you used to be. They'll see glimpses of your smile in other people, hear your voice in the words of strangers, and remember the way you made them feel. But it won't be the same. It will never be the same. And every time they think about you, every time they remember what they had, the weight of their mistake will crush them all over again. Because deep down, they know the truth. They've lost something they'll never find again. They'll spend their days trying to fill that emptiness, trying to convince themselves that it doesn't matter, trying to pretend that they're okay. But the truth is, they'll never be okay. They'll never be whole again. They will always be haunted by the fact that they let you slip away, that they took you for granted, and that they will never, ever be able to undo it. That is the burden they will carry for the rest of their lives. The burden of regret, the burden of loss, the burden of knowing that they lost something truly irreplaceable. And no matter how much time passes, no matter how much they try to move on, it will always be there. In the end, the burden of their mistake is a weight they will carry forever. No matter how much time passes or how many distractions they find, they will never escape the truth. They lost something irreplaceable, something that can never be regained. The regret will linger, the emptiness will remain, and they will always carry the reminder of what they threw away. And as they move through life, they will come to understand that some losses are permanent, and no amount of wishful thinking can change the past. Listen closely, because this is not another story of luck or miracle or destiny. This is the echo of something darker, something forged in silence, when no one was watching, when the lights were off and the noise of the world faded into the distance. This is the sound of someone who refused to stop when everything around them told them they should. The sound of footsteps on a path that was never lit, yet somehow you walked it with fire in your eyes. They watched you now, fascinated, replaying every frame of your success, trying to dissect the impossible, trying to find the secret formula behind your rise. They thought they could decode it, that maybe if they looked long enough, they'd see the trick. But what they didn't know was, there was no trick. There was only pain, transformed. There was only the storm you survived, the nights that didn't end, the silence that almost broke you. That's what they were watching. Not perfection, but persistence carved from suffering. You see, they don't understand what it takes to come from nothing and turn that nothing into something unshakable. They don't know what it means to wake up every day with doubt on your shoulder, whispering that you're not enough, and still move anyway. They didn't see how you built from ruins, how every mistake became a lesson written in your bones. When the world said you'd fall apart, you stood still. When they left, you stayed. And when everything you cared about burned to ashes, you learned how to walk through the fire without flinching. Now they watch in awe. They pause the clip, rewind it, slow it down, hoping to catch that moment, the one where you turned everything around. But it wasn't one moment, it was every moment they ignored. Every time you showed up when it didn't matter, every time you failed and didn't post about it, every time you felt invisible but kept going anyway. That's what made the difference. That's the truth they can't replicate. The world is filled with watchers, people who stare at the outcome but never the process. They see the mountaintop, not the climb. They see the victory, not the scars. But you lived through the middle. You didn't skip scenes. You didn't fast forward the pain. You stayed there until it broke you open, until your weakness became your weapon. That's why you stand different now. That's why your silence speaks louder than their noise. You learned early that no one's going to understand your grind. No one's going to applaud you while you're building. The crowd only appears when the lights come on. But you worked in the dark. You trained your spirit when no one was looking. You learned how to stay calm when everything inside you was screaming to quit. And that's why they can't copy you, because what built you wasn't seen. It was felt. It was earned through every heartbreak, every disappointment, every night you had to become your own reason. They say it looks effortless. They say you make it look easy, but they don't know that ease is the last stage of evolution, when struggle turns into rhythm, when chaos becomes control. You didn't skip pain. You mastered it. You turned it into art. Every tear became a blueprint. Every failure became instruction. Every moment of fear became muscle memory. You were built different, not because you were chosen, but because you chose yourself. When no one clapped, when no one believed, when no one saw. You stayed, you worked, you burned quietly until your light became undeniable. And now, they watch it on repeat, because they want to understand how you did that. They don't realize that what they're seeing is not the highlight. It's the aftermath of 1,000 nights you spent fighting a battle they never knew existed. Remember this. People don't admire results. They envy resilience. They stare not because they love your success, but because deep down they see what they could have been if they hadn't stopped, and that realization burns them. They call you lucky, they call you gifted, but you know the truth. It wasn't luck that brought you here. It was obsession. It was discipline. It was refusing to lose yourself, even when everything tried to pull you under. There was a time you questioned if it would ever make sense, if all the struggle would ever turn into something more than pain. And now that it has, it still doesn't feel real, does it? Because you remember every broken piece of yourself that had to fall before this moment could stand. You remember every time you almost gave in. And now the world watches the victory, but only you remember the cost. They think they understand your hunger, but they never tasted the emptiness you came from. They think they understand your focus, but they never lived with the distractions that tried to destroy you. You built peace out of chaos. You built confidence out of rejection. You built strength out of fear. That's why they can't understand how you did it, because you didn't follow a path. You created one. You didn't just survive the dark. You made it your home until the light found you again. So let them watch. Let them study every move, every word, every detail. Let them wonder what your secret is. Because the truth is, your secret is that there is no secret. Just work. Just pain. Just endless belief when belief itself was fading. That's what greatness looks like before it becomes visible. That's what makes them replay the story again and again, hoping to catch a glimpse of the moment you transcended. But they'll never find it, because it wasn't one moment. It was a lifetime of refusing to break. There's a quiet power that comes from knowing no one believed in you. It hardens your resolve in a way applause never could. When they doubted you, they gave you something greater than support. They gave you silence. And in that silence, you learned how to build without noise, how to grow without permission, how to fight without an audience. That silence became your training ground. While they spoke, you worked. While they questioned, you created. While they slept, you sharpened. They watched the result, but never the repetition. They saw the performance, but not the preparation. Every victory you have now was written 1,000 times before it ever happened. Every move that looks effortless was born from hours of unseen effort, mistakes, corrections, frustration. But that's the part people skip. That's the part they call boring. They think mastery is a gift. You know it's a scar. There were nights when even breathing felt like labor, when the thought of continuing was heavier than the failure itself. But you kept going, not because you weren't afraid, but because you refused to let fear decide for you. That's what separates those who try from those who transform. You didn't wait for inspiration. You moved without it. You didn't wait to feel ready. You built readiness out of action. And now, every time they hit replay, they're not just watching your success. They're watching a living record of everything they gave up on. They're watching the version of themselves that quit too soon. You became a mirror of what could have been, and that reflection stings. Because the truth is, most people want the victory, not the process. They want the crown, not the burden. But you carried the burden until it became your armor. You didn't escape the weight, you adapted to it. You remember when you had no proof that it would work, when every effort felt invisible, when no one cared about your progress, when it seemed like the world had already moved on without you. But those were the hours that built your edge, the ones where you had to believe in something that didn't exist yet. That's what they're seeing now, belief made visible. Faith turned tangible. They rewind the clip and call it unbelievable. But you remember every believable reason to quit, every time it made sense to stop, every time you said one more day, one more step, one more try. That's what they don't see. It wasn't a leap. It was a crawl. A relentless, quiet, unglamorous crawl through doubt and exhaustion. But that's the beauty of it, isn't it? The magic of momentum born in stillness. The darker the path, the sharper your vision became. You learned how to see in the dark, how to move when no one was guiding you. You learned that the world doesn't reward intentions. It rewards endurance. And that's why you kept going. Because deep down, you knew something no one else did. Progress doesn't announce itself. It accumulates quietly until one day, it's undeniable. And that day came for you. Now they study you like a mystery, searching for clues, trying to figure out where it all changed. But you know the truth. It changed the day you stopped waiting for change. The day you stopped asking for signs and became one. The day you stopped hoping for a miracle and started becoming your own. That's when everything began to shift. That's the part they'll never see in the footage, the moment the fire turned inward. And it wasn't a scream, it wasn't dramatic, it was quiet. It was you whispering to yourself in the middle of defeat, saying, "Not yet." That whisper became your anthem. It carried you through every wall, every fall, every wound. That whisper turned into a roar the world could finally hear. But it started as silence, as belief, when belief felt impossible. Now they say you're different. They say you've changed. But they don't realize you didn't change. You became. This is who you were meant to be all along. The pain didn't create you. It revealed you. It stripped away everything false until only the real you remained. And that version, the one that doesn't flinch anymore, doesn't doubt anymore, that's the version they can't figure out. Because it's rare, it's earned, it's untouchable. There's a strange peace that comes after surviving everything meant to destroy you. You don't need to prove anything anymore. You've already done it. Every failure that once haunted you, now stands behind you as fuel. Every rejection became a lesson in redirection. You no longer chase validation because you've seen what happens when you build without it. You've seen how strong you become when applause disappears. And yet, there's still more to do. You're not finished. That's the secret they can't grasp. The hunger doesn't end with success. It deepens. Because once you've risen from nothing, comfort feels like a cage. You crave growth the way others crave rest. You can't unsee the fire once you've walked through it. You can't unlearn the fight. That's why you keep moving, even when you could stop. That's why you keep creating when you could coast. Because this isn't about proving them wrong anymore. It's about honoring the version of you that refused to give up. They think it's motivation that drives you, but it's not. It's memory. Memory of who you were before the breakthrough. Memory of the nights that almost ended you. Memory of the promises you made when no one was listening. That memory keeps you humble, grounded, unstoppable. It reminds you that greatness isn't a destination, it's a discipline. So when they watch it again, when they study your every move, they'll keep searching for the secret ingredient, and they'll miss it every time. Because the secret isn't in the steps, it's in the stamina. It's in the quiet conviction that says, no matter what happens, I'm not done. That's what separates you. That's what makes your story replay worthy. They call it unbelievable. You call it inevitable. Because you didn't come this far by accident. You came this far by design, by every decision you made when it was hardest to keep going. By every choice that felt too small to matter, but mattered more than anything. And now here you are, not a miracle, not a mystery, but a manifestation of persistence so rare, it looks like magic. And they'll keep watching, keep wondering, keep trying to figure out how you did that. But deep down, you'll know. They could too, if only they were willing to go through what you did. It's strange, isn't it? How the same people who once overlooked you now analyze you. How the same voices that called you unrealistic now whisper your name with respect. How the silence that once surrounded you is now filled with applause. But deep inside, you know the applause isn't what changed you. It never was. What changed you was the journey that no one clapped for, the nights that offered no reward, the effort that went unseen and uncelebrated. That's where you found your edge. That's where you learned that greatness isn't born in comfort. It's born in confrontation. The confrontation with yourself. Every victory you have now was built in the days when you felt like nothing was moving. Every lesson you carry came from moments that broke you open. You learn that progress hides itself until it trusts your consistency. You learn that growth doesn't show up in loud announcements. It arrives quietly, one small improvement at a time, until suddenly you look back and realize you've become unrecognizable. They can't understand that transformation isn't a single explosion. It's erosion, slow, painful, and constant. Every failure shaved off a piece of who you used to be, until what remained was something solid, something immovable. That's why your success looks unshakable now, because it's built on the ruins of who you were before. They call it talent because they don't want to accept the truth that it's work. They call it natural because it's easier to believe you were born with it than to accept how much you've suffered for it. They tell themselves stories so they don't have to face their own reflection, because your rise reminds them of their own stillness. Your motion exposes their hesitation. Your persistence magnifies their excuses. That's why they're obsessed. That's why they keep watching. But let them watch, let them rewind. Because what they're seeing is not perfection. It's persistence disguised as grace. Every move you make looks easy now because you've bled for it. Every word you say carries weight because it was written in hardship. They don't know that every calm expression hides storms you've already survived. You learned how to be composed in chaos, and that composure looks like confidence to those who never stood in the fire. You remember the fire, don't you? The times when it felt like life was burning everything you built. When you had nothing left to prove, but everything left to lose. When the world turned cold, and the only warmth you had was your own will to continue. Those were the chapters no one wants to talk about. The unseen struggle, the invisible endurance, the endless waiting for something to make sense. But that waiting taught you something priceless. That strength isn't about speed, it's about patience. It's about holding on when nothing's happening. And that's why you're dangerous now, because you learned to find peace in the middle of pressure. You stopped running from the pain and started listening to it. You realized that every ache was a message, every setback a lesson, every obstacle a test. You stopped asking why me and started saying try me. That shift changed everything. That's the moment they missed. That's the transformation no one can rewind to capture. Now they call you unstoppable, but you know the truth. You're not unstoppable. You've just learned how to start again, endlessly. You've mastered the art of beginning after every ending. You've made peace with repetition, with failure, with struggle. You've stopped romanticizing the finish line and started falling in love with the process. And that's what makes you unstoppable. Not the absence of failure, but your refusal to be defined by it. People fear the dark, but you learned to build in it. You discovered that the dark isn't your enemy, it's your forge. It's where you become sharper, quieter, stronger. It's where distraction dies and purpose is born. And that's why when the light finally came, you didn't flinch. You were ready. You'd already met your demons and made peace with them. You'd already walked through the shadows and found your reflection intact. You don't fear being alone anymore because you've met the part of yourself that never leaves. That's what they see when they watch you now, a person who has already faced their own breaking point and built a home there. That calm they admire isn't natural, it's earned. It's the stillness of someone who has already survived the storm. It's the quiet confidence of someone who doesn't need to convince anyone anymore. You're not trying to prove them wrong, you're simply proving yourself right. They ask, how do you stay so focused? How do you keep going? And the answer is simple, because you remember what it felt like to have nothing. You remember when your dreams were just whispers in a room that no one else believed in. You remember when your potential was invisible, when your effort was unnoticed. You never want to go back there. That memory keeps you moving, keeps you hungry, keeps you grateful. The truth is, success didn't change you. It revealed you. It peeled away the layers of doubt, fear, and insecurity that once held you back. It didn't make you new, it made you true. You learned that real strength isn't loud. It doesn't need to shout to be heard. Real strength is quiet, consistent, patient. It shows up again and again, long after motivation disappears. You see, Most people give up because they mistake struggle for failure, but you learned that struggle is the proof of progress. It means you're still in the fight. You learned how to dance with discomfort, how to turn resistance into rhythm. That's what makes your story so different. Because while others were chasing comfort, you were chasing challenge. While they avoided pain, you used it. Now, your name carries weight, not because it's famous, but because it's forged. Every letter of it has a history. Every success has a scar beneath it. Every victory has a wound that healed slow. You didn't just build results, you built resilience. And resilience is what they can't imitate. They can study your moves, copy your habits, mimic your routine, but they can't replicate your spirit. Because your spirit was built in the parts of the story they'll never see. And that's the irony. They think you found something outside yourself. But everything you needed was already within. You just had to dig deep enough to uncover it. Every doubt, every rejection, every failure. They were never trying to destroy you. They were shaping you into the person who could handle what you asked for. Now you stand where once you dreamed to be, not as a miracle, but as a testament. Proof that faith and effort, when fused with time, can turn the impossible into reality. You became the evidence that consistency is stronger than talent, that discipline is louder than motivation, that patience beats perfection. And that's why they can't stop watching. Because deep down, they recognize something familiar in you, a reflection of their own untapped potential. They see what happens when someone finally decides to stop doubting and start doing. And that's what shakes them. That's what inspires them, even if they'll never admit it. And now, here you are, standing in the same world that once told you to stay quiet, to blend in, to give up. Standing in the same silence that used to haunt you, but this time, it's not empty. This time, the silence listens, because you've become the sound that breaks it. You've become the story they whisper about, the example they point to, the proof that the impossible is only a word until someone like you decides to challenge it. They still watch it on repeat. Every clip, every replay, every frame, trying to decode the moment you changed everything. They showed up with their so-called warriors, loud, aggressive barking. Like dogs, they wore their labels like badges, the tough guy, the psycho, the untouchable. But those labels meant nothing, because beneath the surface, they were still just animals in human skin, trying to convince themselves they were predators. They thought their noise would intimidate. They believed their violence would break us. But they failed to understand one crucial thing. They were only dogs in a world that was made for beasts, and they would never be able to face the true fury of what that meant. You see, they weren't prepared for you. They weren't prepared for the storm that would rise when you unlocked the beast inside of you. You didn't come here to bark. You didn't come here to play. You came here to win, to dominate, to remind them of one simple fact. When it all boils down, when everything is stripped away, only one thing remains: power. And while they stumbled around in their pack of dogs, you rose up as a force of nature. They thought they were intimidating with their tricks and their games, but they had no idea what true power looked like. They didn't know what it felt like to be driven by something deeper, something darker, something that doesn't get tired, doesn't give up, and doesn't fear anything or anyone. You brought your beast with you. They brought their dogs, but you brought the predator. While they barked and yelped to get attention, you stood there silent, watching them with cold eyes, seeing through the smoke and mirrors of their delusion. They were pretending to be something they weren't. They were pretending to be fearless, pretending to be unstoppable, but all they were was loud. All they were was a distraction. They were noise in a world of silence, and you weren't fooled by it. You saw it for what it was, a desperate attempt to gain control by using their weakness as their weapon. They had nothing. They had no real power, no real strength, no real heart. But you were different. You weren't here to play games. You weren't here to show off. You weren't here to impress anyone. You were here to prove a point, and that point was simple. Strength is earned, it's built, it's forged through fire. You didn't get here by accident. You didn't become who you are by following the pack or listening to the bark of a dog. You became what you are because you understood the struggle. You understood that to be a beast in this world means to survive on your terms. It means to stare down the chaos and embrace it. It means to endure when others break. It means to fight even when you have nothing left to give. And most importantly, it means to rise above the noise, the distractions, the games that others play. You didn't need to bark. You didn't need to announce yourself. Your presence spoke for itself. Your actions spoke for themselves. The world knew who you were before you even opened your mouth. They knew you weren't someone who needed to prove a point with words. They knew you weren't someone who needed to put on a show, because you weren't afraid to face the truth. You knew what it took to get to the top, what it took to survive in a world that was built to crush you, and you didn't flinch. When they showed up with their dogs and their psycho routines, you showed up with your beast, and that was all you needed. They underestimated you, didn't they? They thought they could break you with their noise and their games. They thought they could get inside your head with their intimidation and their tactics. But they didn't understand the one thing that separated them from you. You were born with the hunger. You were born with the drive that never quits, that never bends, that never breaks. You didn't come here to be part of their circus. You came here to burn it down. You came here to show them that there was only one thing stronger than a dog's bite, and that was the bite of a beast that had nothing left to lose. So they barked, and they scratched, and they bit. But you didn't flinch. You didn't even blink, because while they played the game of men, you were already playing the game of monsters. You weren't here for the glory, for the fame, or for the recognition. You weren't here to be celebrated. You weren't here to be loved. You were here to conquer. You were here to dominate. You were here to remind them that you were the storm they never saw coming. You were here to leave nothing behind but broken dreams and shattered egos. And while they tried to shake you, to rattle you, to push you to the edge, you stood your ground. You were the rock that wouldn't move. You were the hurricane that couldn't be stopped. And they could never, ever understand that kind of power. Because here's the thing. Power is not about size. It's not about how loud you can bark or how deep your bite goes. It's not about how many people you can scare or how many rules you can break. Power is about what lies underneath. It's about the darkness you carry inside of you, the fire that burns when everything else falls away. It's about how much you're willing to endure to see your vision come to life. It's about how far you'll go when everyone else has given up. Power is not given, it's taken. It's stolen from the world, one battle at a time, until nothing is left but your victory. And when they showed up with their dogs, thinking their noise would break you, you stood silent, you stood still, and you waited. Because you knew something they didn't, that no matter how loud they were, they could never be as dangerous as you. They were predictable, they were small, they were afraid. But you were a force of nature, an unstoppable beast who had seen the worst the world had to offer and came back stronger every single time. You weren't afraid of pain. You weren't afraid of sacrifice. You weren't afraid of what lay ahead. And that is what made you the true predator in this game. They thought their dogs and their psychos would scare you. But you weren't afraid of the things that went bump in the night. You were the thing that went bump in the night. And when you walked into the room, they all knew it. They knew there was no escaping what was about to happen. They knew they had made a mistake by underestimating you, by thinking you were just another dog. You weren't. You were the beast they never saw coming. So as they looked at you with fear in their eyes, as they realized the mistake they had made, you only smiled. You smiled because you knew this moment would come. You knew they would finally understand that you were the one thing they couldn't defeat. You were the one thing they couldn't control. You were the one thing they had no defense against. You were the beast, and they were just dogs, barking into the void. It was over before it even began, and you had already won. It's not about the moment of victory, it's about the journey. You were always steps ahead, always calculating, always preparing. They never stood a chance from the beginning because they didn't understand the most basic truth. Victory is a process. It's not a single event. It's a culmination of everything you've done leading up to this point. It's the countless battles, the wounds, the scars, the lessons learned in the darkest places of your soul, and the knowledge that every single moment you spent in pain, in doubt, in struggle, has led you to this very moment. They might have thought it was all about one final fight, one last show of force, but you knew it was never about that. It was about everything you'd built long before they ever crossed your path. And you were built for this. They might have had their dogs, their warriors, their psychos, but you had something far more dangerous. You had focus. You had resolve. You had something that could not be broken. They had noise, distractions, and fear. Fear that they would be exposed for what they really were, and fear that one day the world would realize that they were just dogs with no bite. But you walked with confidence because you knew the world had already seen you for what you are, a beast. They could never understand the power that came with that. They could never fathom the inner strength you had cultivated through years of grinding, fighting, surviving. Every failure had made you stronger. Every setback had turned into fuel for the fire that burned within you. When they showed up with their dogs, they underestimated the depth of your power. You weren't just a force to be reckoned with. You were the inevitable force. A force that could not be stopped because it was fueled by something so raw, so primal, that even they couldn't comprehend it. You didn't need to explain yourself, didn't need to justify your actions, because the truth of who you were spoke louder than any words ever could. They thought they had you figured out, thought they could manipulate you with their games, their false bravado, their posturing. But it was all an illusion, and you were the one who saw through it all. They thought they could break you, make you bend to their will. But you had already faced the worst that the world could throw at you. You had already been broken, torn apart, and rebuilt stronger each time. Your spirit was unbreakable because it had already been tested in ways they would never understand. You didn't fear the storm. You didn't fear the darkness. You embraced it. You thrived in it. It was in those moments of struggle, those moments of being pushed to the absolute limit, that you learned the most about yourself. And every lesson, every scar, every pain had only added to the fire inside you. They were dogs, playing a game they didn't understand, chasing after fleeting pleasures, barking for attention, trying to assert dominance where none existed. You, on the other hand, had learned the true meaning of power. Power is not about making noise. Power is not about seeking validation from others. Power is not about following the rules that were set for you. True power is silent. It is subtle, and it is felt in the very air when you step into a room. It is the stillness that precedes a storm, the quiet confidence that comes with knowing you have the strength to break the world in half if necessary. They thought they could win by outshouting you, by pushing you to react. But your reaction was never about noise. It was about precision. It was about silence, focus, and control. You knew that in a world full of distractions, the real battle wasn't against them. It was against yourself. The real challenge was staying centered, staying grounded, and using every ounce of your being to channel your inner beast. The dogs and psychos around you didn't have that kind of control. They were slaves to their impulses, slaves to their egos, slaves to their need for validation. And that was their downfall. They thought they could force you into their chaos, make you play their game. But you were already beyond it. You didn't need their game. You had your own. You had already won long before the first move was made. The game was over before it even began, because you had built your foundation on something that could never be shaken: yourself. The world could throw everything it had at you, but you were unbreakable. You were the one thing they couldn't defeat, no matter how many times they tried. They were never playing with the same rules. They didn't understand that the beast inside you was not a reaction to the world, but a response to the challenges you had set for yourself. You didn't need anyone else to define you, to dictate your path. You had already carved it out, and in doing so, you had taken control of the game. While they stood there barking and howling, desperate for attention, desperate for recognition, you simply moved. You didn't need to announce your next move because they could already feel it. They could feel the energy shift in the room, could feel the weight of your presence. They didn't know it yet, but they had already lost. It was written in your posture, in the fire in your eyes, in the confidence in every step you took. The power you carried wasn't something they could outfight, outsmart, or outlast. It was something that was born from within, and it was something they would never, ever possess. They brought their dogs, their warriors, their psychos. But you brought something they could never understand: your beast. And that beast was not just a part of you, it was you. It was everything you had built, everything you had endured, every ounce of suffering, every drop of blood, every sacrifice made in silence. They thought they could break you with their noise, but they never understood that your strength was never about the noise. Your strength was about your resilience, your ability to stand tall in the face of adversity, to push through the pain, to rise above the chaos. You were the beast, the true predator in this world of noise. You were the force that would leave nothing behind but destruction in your way. They thought they had control, thought they could dictate the outcome. But in the end, it was always you who held the power. Because while they were distracted by the sound of their own barking, you were already moving. You were already on the hunt, already focused on the goal. You didn't need to prove anything to anyone. You didn't need anyone's approval. You had already won the battle before it even began, and now all that was left was to watch them crumble in the face of your unstoppable force. So let them bark, let them yap and shout and scream, because none of it matters. The world may listen to their noise for a moment, but in the end, it is your silence that will be remembered. It is your calmness, your focus, your quiet strength that will leave a lasting impression. They will fade into the background, just a fleeting noise that was quickly forgotten. But you will remain. You will stand as the beast that conquered it all. And in the end, that will be the only thing that matters. Because you didn't need to prove anything. You didn't need to shout, to bark, or to break yourself in the process. You simply needed to be who you were always meant to be. The predator that never stopped hunting, the beast that never backed down, the force that was destined to win. And when you did, the victory was not handed to you. It was not something that arrived because of luck or chance, or because the world showed any mercy. No, this was a victory forged in blood, sweat, and pain. This was the victory of a beast who refused to bow to the world's demands, to its expectations, to its rules. While others followed the paths that were set before them, you carved your own, and each step you took was one that resonated with the thunderous sound of a creature who was not afraid to walk alone. The world can hand you 100 defeats, but what it cannot take from you is the will to keep fighting. And that was your greatest weapon. You had already won because you had mastered the art of resilience, of fighting not just with your body, but with your soul. They brought their dogs, their loud, desperate noises, their hollow attempts at control, but they had no idea who they were dealing with. You were never the one to back down. You were never the one to bow to fear. You were the one who made fear bow before you, who bent the very essence of darkness to your will. They thought their chaos would derail you, that their threats and their screams would rattle you into submission. But what they didn't understand was that you were not here to fight for a single moment of glory or attention. You didn't need to prove anything to anyone. You didn't need their validation. You didn't need the world to recognize your greatness. You knew your power long before they ever did, and that's why you were already steps ahead, already in control. What they never realized, what they failed to grasp, was that this victory was not won by the force of your fists or the sharpness of your mind. It was won by something far more profound. It was won by your ability to rise from the depths when everyone else thought you were finished. It was won by your refusal to accept defeat, your refusal to let the noise of the world drown out the silence of your focus. And that, my friend, is where the true strength lies, because the world will always throw obstacles in your path. It will always try to push you down, to break you, to make you feel small, insignificant. But it is not the obstacles that define you. It is your reaction to them. It is your ability to stand tall when everything around you is crumbling. And when the world came for you, when it tried to bring you to your knees, you did not fall. You rose. You became more. You became the beast they could never understand. The truth is, they were never prepared for someone like you. They thought they could overpower you, outlast you, outsmart you. But none of that mattered. You were never going to be the one who played by their rules. You weren't the one who ran in circles with them, playing their petty games. You were the one who had already broken free from their illusions. You were the one who saw the world for what it truly was, a place where only the strong survive, where only the ruthless and relentless can make their mark. And that's what you did. You carved your name in the fabric of this world. You did not need their applause. You did not need their recognition. You did not need anyone to acknowledge what you had achieved, because you knew, deep down, that the moment you became the beast was the moment you had already won. They were too caught up in their noise, their distractions, their egos. They wanted to control the narrative. They wanted to be seen as the victors, as the kings of their little worlds. But in doing so, they only revealed their weakness. They only exposed their fragility. You, on the other hand, were not in the business of showing weakness. You understood that true strength is not about showing off or making others afraid of you. It is about moving through this world with the kind of quiet confidence that makes others feel the weight of your presence. It's about being able to take whatever comes at you and never flinch. Because when you're the beast, the battle is never about what's happening in the moment. It's about what you've already overcome, what you've already endured. It's about the scars that cover your body and soul, each one a testament to your strength, to your ability to rise no matter what. And they could never match that. They could never match the depth of what you had been through. They could never understand the journey that had brought you here. They thought they could break you with their noise, with their distractions, but they didn't understand that you had already been broken. You had already been to the very edge of despair, and you had emerged stronger, sharper, more focused. You had seen the darkness and you had embraced it. You had felt the weight of the world on your shoulders, and you had crushed it beneath your feet. Every hardship, every challenge, every moment where you were forced to question your own resolve, those moments had forged you into the weapon that you were today. And they were nothing but distractions. They were noise in the background of a story that was already written. They thought they could win with their tricks, with their games, with their ability to shout the loudest. But in doing so, they never understood the most important thing. True power is not about shouting the loudest. It's about knowing when to stay silent. It's about knowing when to wait, when to strike, when to move. It's about the ability to control every single action you make, to never let the world push you into a reaction, but instead to force the world to react to you. And that's exactly what you did. You made them react to you. You made them play your game. You turned their world upside down with nothing more than your focus, your strength, and your willpower. And as they watched you stand there, unshaken, unwavering, they knew it. They knew that they could never defeat you. They knew that they had already lost, because the one thing they could never understand was that you were not fighting for their approval. You were fighting for your own survival. You were fighting for the truth of who you were, and nothing in this world could take that from you. They had all the noise, all the distractions, all the games, but you had one thing that they would never possess. You had the truth. And the truth was this: you were the beast they never saw coming. You were the storm that would break everything in its path, and no amount of barking or posturing would ever stop you, because you had already won. As the dust settled and the echoes of their failures rang through the air, you stood tall, you stood silent, not because you needed to say anything, but because your presence spoke volumes. You didn't need to gloat. You didn't need to rub their defeat in their faces. You didn't need to say anything at all. The look in your eyes was enough. The strength in your posture was enough. You had already won, not just this battle, but every battle that had ever come before it. And they could never take that from you. Because when you had nothing left to lose, when the world had stripped you down to your core, that's when you became the beast. That's when you became unstoppable. And that's when you won. Now, they would have to live with the fact that they had been outclassed, outlasted, and outwitted by a force they could never understand. They could never hope to match your strength, your resilience, your refusal to ever back down. They could never hope to match the fire that burned inside of you, the beast that lurked beneath your calm exterior. And as they retreated, licking their wounds, you stood there, knowing one thing: the world had seen you. The world had witnessed your rise, your transformation, and your victory. You had shown them what it truly meant to be a beast. And that, my friend, was all the victory you ever needed. In the end, the victory was never about the loudest bark or the most chaotic noise. It was about the strength within, the relentless will to rise no matter the odds, and the unshakable belief that you were destined for more. While they brought their dogs and their distractions, you brought your beast. You moved through the world with quiet power, focused resolve, and unwavering confidence, and that is what truly made you unstoppable. They could never understand what drove you, and in the end, that's why you had already won, because you knew who you were, and nothing could ever take that from you.